Hello again, everyone. It's Andy Garcia here, looking at the markets, and I'm looking at the major currencies. As you know, talking about the dollar index futures on the left here, followed by the major currencies on the right. You can see the dollar index futures on a 4-hour time frame here. As you can see right here, the dollar index futures, and then you got the yen, the Swiss franc, and the Canadian dollar across the top, the euro, the pound, the Australian dollar across the bottom, and everything is again on a 4-hour chart. Now, the important thing here is what I'm doing is identifying last week's trading range versus this week's trading range and comparing the two. So you have last week's trading range here that I'm highlighting in practically, you can see here all the currencies. But what I'm doing here is highlighting last week's trading range so that way I can see how price reacted this week in comparison to last week's trading range. The reason is that when the market has a tendency to move beyond last week's range, then you can see pretty decent moves, powerful moves. As you can see here, the dollar index futures putting in a high here right around 80.80 this week, which was a lower high than last week. Now, the important thing here is that we were not able to go above last week's high. As you can see here, this week's high was lower than last week's high. At the same time that we were making these lower highs, you know, the sellers in the dollar were taking control and essentially breaking. We broke 80.20 here, which was our initial low for the week, and then you know, pushed on down to the last week's low, 79.45. And I highlight this because you can see we were not able to move up above last week's high. We were not able to move down below last week's low in the dollar index futures. And this is what I call an inside week. And the reason why I call this or this is significant is because the market is not moving beyond last week's trading range. As you can see, if you had an up move last week, then this week you should expect a continuation to the upside. And we did not even get that. But what we did was we came back and retested last week's trading range. So when you look at the dollar index futures, and then you compare it to the other currencies, mainly the euro here, the euro dollar putting in two subsequent higher lows this week, as you can see here, right around last week's low, finding support right about the same time that the dollar index was finding resistance here, finding support, and then finally breaking above this 131.5 level in the euro, ultimately pushing above last week's high here. 132.98 was last week's high, pushing to about 133.64, but did have the breakout here towards the end of the week. The problem here is that you had a breakout here in the euro, but you did not have a breakout in the dollar, so that kind of leaves you on the fence, maybe a little tentative about the trade. But sure enough, it worked regardless. As you can see here, the pound dollar not able to move beyond last week's trading range like the euro. The double bottoms you can see going back to last week's high, or excuse me, last week's low, holding support and then breaking above you know, the most recent swing point here in the pound, but not able to consistently drive higher, which shows a little bit of weakness here in the pound. Now the question here going in next week is whether or not we could push down below this 130.60. Australian dollar here finding some short covering rally. 105.27 was last week's high, pushing up above that, rallying around to 106 before retracing here, and then you know, stopping right around last week's high. So this will be interesting to see if we find support, but able to push up above last week's high. Same thing as the euro. So that's two of these three that did move beyond last week's trading range as opposed to the pound. And then on the flip side of the coin, if you were paying attention to the Japanese yen, you can see again pushing above last week's high and holding before topping out right around 89.44. Very interesting market, this Japanese yen. You just can't believe what you've been seeing over the past couple months. Swiss franc choppy here. You can see two lower highs and a higher low inside of last week's trading range. So this is also called an inside week, just like the dollar index. And as you can see here, almost the same thing in the Canadian, except we had a late week breakdown right towards the let's say Wednesday, Thursday time frame, but choppy sideways early on in the week, and then finally did break down. Overall, the question here going into next week is whether or not the euro is going to continue to rally above the 133 even mark and maintain the strength, and we'll be looking forward to perhaps putting in new lows on the year in the dollar index if that does continue to happen. So that's all I got for this market wrap, folks. This is Andy signing off. Hope it helps. Good luck in your trading. Stay safe out there. Best regards to all. We'll see you at the next market wrap. While I got you here, I wanted to take a quick moment to say that if you really liked what you're looking at here in the free Forex market wrap video, I wanted to give you the opportunity to come take a look at the premium weekly Forex market wrap video that I do every week. And basically it's a little bit more in depth, or should I say a lot more in depth information about the markets that I cover. And you can see here that in this short video I go over the basics about what I've been looking at on the major currencies. And the more in-depth market wrap video, I take a look at a in-depth analysis on the 6 major currency pairs. You also get actionable trading scenarios. The important thing here is that we're offering a 3-day risk-free trial, so you don't have to pay a cent. It's about a 30 to 45 minute video that'll go through all the major currency pairs that I look at, and it shows you a lot more in-depth analysis and forecast, looking at the longer term picture and the big major trends that are affecting what you're looking at on the lower time frames that you're looking at on a day-to-day basis. So take a moment to go take a look at the premium market wrap video. You can see the link here provided, www.traderstouch.com/3day, and it also includes a free membership to the Traders Learning Network, where you can meet other traders that are like-minded individuals, and they're basically there to help everybody looking at the same markets as you. So good luck, hope it helps, and look forward to seeing you on the inside.